Take the exit. Turn right into the drive-thru.
Nope, I'm making dinner tonight.
You don't have time. Josh has practice.
Oh, that's right. I'll just get a salad.
And fries?
No, just the salad.
But salad cancels fries.
Salad only.
Fries.
Salad.
Fries.
Food noise isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that puts you on the road to successful weight loss.
Hey, can I get the...
Fries.
Salad. Sorry.
Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Shopify. Starting a business is filled with a lot of what-ifs. What if I fail? What if nobody listens to the podcast? What if nobody cares? It can definitely be hard to get over that doubt and uncertainty, but making that leap was one of the best things I've ever done, and it's great to know that I'm not alone with a business partner like Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Heinz and Mattel to brands just getting started. And I'm telling you, their tools really do feel like you have a business partner. They have hundreds of ready-to-use templates to help build a beautiful online store that matches your brand. You can also get the word out like you have an entire marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And if you get stuck, Shopify is always there to help with their award-winning 24/7 customer service. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/justice. Go to shopify.com/justice. That's shopify.com/justice. Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Today I'm discussing updates in the murder of 14-year-old Emily Pike. I first covered Emily's case a few months ago when it was brand new. And as promised, I'm back to discuss what we've learned since that episode came out, and where her case stands today. If you are brand new to Emily's case, it's nothing short of horrific, but so incredibly important to talk about. I first learned about Emily's case after law enforcement leaked an internal memo on social media outlining the graphic details of how her remains were found. While that information was never meant for public consumption, it's opened the floodgates, and people are demanding justice for Emily. People were and still are outraged, and after months of investigation, her case remains unsolved. But a lot has happened since I put out that first episode, and we know a lot more about the events leading up to Emily's death and the reform that it's sparking. This is the case of Emily Pike. On February 14th, 2025, hikers were walking down a trail in a remote wooded area just east of Globe, Arizona, when they stumbled upon some trash bags. At least one of the bags was left open, and after taking a closer look, they believed that there may have been a body in one of them. So they called the sheriff's office to report it. When the Gila County Sheriff's Office responded, they discovered the remains of Emily Pike. But they don't know that at this point due to the horrific state she was found in. Again, I'll warn you that this next part is very disturbing and graphic. Emily's head and torso were found in one bag, and her legs in another. As of recording this episode, her arms and hands have not been located. There was also trauma to her face. It was clearly a horrific homicide. This information was compiled into an internal memo by the Gila County Sheriff's Office. It explained that they found an unidentified woman, likely in her early 20s, and it described the state she was found in along with some images. Somehow, this memo that was never meant for public consumption was posted on their Facebook page, and that's how the world was introduced to Emily's case. But let's go back to the beginning. Emily was born on May 16, 2010, and was a member of the San Carlos Apache Tribe in Arizona. She also lived on the San Carlos Apache Reservation for much of her life. It's beautiful and spans nearly 2 million acres in southeastern Arizona. But unfortunately, Emily's home life was not the best. We now know that both of Emily's parents, Steph Dosella and Jensen Pike, have suffered from substance use disorder for many years. Her father specifically has been in and out of prison and is currently serving time in Eloy for arson and criminal damage charges. Her parents have been separated for a long time, but her mother retained custody of her. She shared a home with her mother, brother, grandmother, aunts, and others. Relatives have reported that the home had spotty plumbing. There were holes in the roof, and it was often crowded and chaotic, with trash piles that nearly reached the top of your head. Still, Emily has been described as confronting challenges in her life with a smile. Those who knew her describe her as soft-spoken, creative, say that she got good grades, and was enjoying learning how to play guitar. Her favorite color was pink, but she loved anything colorful. They also likened her to Tinkerbell, saying she added sparkle to everything she touched. Her cousin Alyssa said that Emily wanted a lot more for herself than the life she was currently living. But in 2023, when Emily was 13, she was removed from her home and put into foster care. When I first told you about Emily's case, we had no insight as to why this happened. There was a lot of speculation, but no official reports. Now we know a lot more. And much of this information came out just days before this episode airs. It is hard to hear, but it's important. So let's dig in. When Emily was 12, she reported that she'd been sexually assaulted in the White River area in early 2023 on the Fort Apache Reservation. This has been confirmed by both law enforcement and members of her family. Since Emily was 12, the FBI had jurisdiction over the case instead of the Bureau of Indian Affairs or the BIA. The BIA did confirm that the FBI investigated the case, but the man was not charged with a crime in relation to Emily's report. He was, however, indicted on counts of sexual abuse, abusive sexual contact, and sexual abuse of a minor in 2024. One of his victims was between 12 and 16 years old. He's currently in custody awaiting trial, which is scheduled to begin in July 2025. Emily made a second report of being sexually assaulted in July 2023 on the San Carlos Apache Reservation. An emergency call was made, and Emily was found on a hill behind her house without a shirt on. She told authorities that she was assaulted by a relative. Emily turned 13 in May, just a few months before this report was made, so it did fall under the jurisdiction of the BIA. These allegations were first looked into by Tribal Game and Fish. They also, for some reason, spearheaded the investigation instead of the San Carlos Apache Police Department. However, the case was eventually referred to the BIA, and the man accused was arrested. But within just a few days of Emily making the report, he was released, and they were ready to close the case, citing a lack of evidence. Emily's mother was with her while she interviewed about the assault, and she feels like the agent conducting the interview didn't like her family or was tired of hearing about them. But Special Agent Jose Verdugo said that Emily couldn't answer questions about the attack, and that they were ultimately unable to independently verify some details she provided. In a July 19, 2023 incident report, the agent wrote, quote, "Emily was unable to provide specific dates and times of when such offenses actually occurred. The case lacked physical evidence and/or corroborating information." End quote. Special Agent Verdugo says that he did speak with the U.S. Attorney's Office about the case, and, quote, "concluded the case would not be suitable for federal prosecution." End quote. The San Carlos Apache Attorney General, Alexander Ritchie, outright blames the U.S. Attorney's Office for refusing to prosecute the case. But a U.S. Attorney spokesperson denies this. They told the Arizona Republic that they had no record of getting any paperwork or phone calls from any agency in relation to Emily's sexual assault, even after they made the arrest and when the man was released. So this is another case where we have these agencies pointing fingers at each other, and Emily's loved ones are understandably not satisfied with these answers. They say it highlights the systemic failures within what are supposed to be tribal social safety nets. Emily's family wants to know why charges have never been filed. Her uncle, Allred Pike, just wants to know if there was some type of breakdown here, why. He told the Arizona Republic, quote, "Everyone let that girl down. The system failed her in all aspects." End quote. Since this news broke, tribal leaders have promised to conduct an independent review of the case to determine why this man wasn't charged, and why the tribe's, quote, specialized law enforcement officers were excluded from the investigation, end quote. They also say that the case could potentially be reopened should additional evidence be provided. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, a reminder that whatever you're going through, you don't have to go through alone. I think we all know that life is a journey. Some days feel good and others feel extremely overwhelming. Whatever's keeping you up at night, it's easy to feel like you have to figure it out all on your own. But the truth is, no one has all the answers, and no one should have to go on this journey alone. Having someone with you to listen, to understand, and support you can make all the difference. That's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US, and they do the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. All you do is fill out a short questionnaire to help identify your needs and preferences. And if you aren't happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. They have an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session. You don't have to be on this journey alone. Find support and have someone with you in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/justice. That's betterhelp.com/justice.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today, and let us surprise you.
It's clear that we don't have all the answers when it comes to Emily's reports of sexual assault, but I think it does help us better understand her state of mind and possible causes for her abrupt shift in behavior. After these very traumatic events, Emily was removed from her home and placed in the care of San Carlos Apache Tribal Social Services. She was placed in a few different group homes, and contact with her family was restricted and monitored. In August 2023, Emily was placed in a group home in Mesa, Arizona. The owner of the group home, Liz Morales, told the Arizona Republic that when Emily arrived, she was made aware that she had a history of suicide attempts and self-harm. They were also briefed on her home life and the sexual assaults. Emily had tried to hang herself just weeks before she was taken from her home, and she arrived at the group home with cuts on her arm. Now, Emily did have quite a bit of freedom in this group home. According to reporting by the Arizona Republic, the kids in their care were free to come and go with permission, but their time was structured and monitored. They were able to go out with friends and participate in extracurricular activities. But Emily still wanted to go home, and it wasn't long before she began running from the group home. Emily was reported missing 4 times between September and November 2023. In one incident, she left with another child. 3 times she was returned home by the Mesa police, and the other she came back on her own. According to the police reports, Emily complained about her life at the group home, saying she was made to scrub the walls, and had negative interactions with staff and other residents. Then, on November 8, 2023, just before 10 a.m., group home staff made another call to the Mesa Police Department to report that Emily had attempted to die by suicide. Staff at the home found her in the closet of the primary bedroom with a shoestring around her neck, and the other end tied to a doorknob. She'd also cut her wrist. Relatives on Emily's father's side say that they were trying to adopt Emily at this time. They knew that her mother's home was unsafe and that Emily was suicidal, but they say they didn't know about the sexual assaults, adding that Emily's mother and other relatives didn't discuss it with them. But the plan was to get her out. They were approved to take Emily over the Thanksgiving holiday for a trip to Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah, where she met other relatives and began discussions of her coming to live with them. Emily's aunt, Carolyn Pike Bender, who has helped spearhead getting justice for Emily, told the Arizona Republic, quote, "One thing that bothers me is people saying, 'Where was the family?' Why hasn't the family come forward? How come the family didn't take her? We loved her." End quote. Carolyn and her husband, who happens to be a police officer, felt that they would be more than capable of caring for Emily, and they say that she seemed excited when they talked about her moving into their home in Fort Collins, at least temporarily. They also say that while Emily was enjoying the trip, she was still displaying some alarming behaviors. Carolyn says that when Emily was happy and just being herself, she was bubbly and spoke like any other normal teenage girl. But when Emily was told she couldn't do something, she would get quiet or upset and begin crying. Carolyn says that the day after Thanksgiving, they were shopping at the mall and getting ready to see the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie, and Emily wanted to buy some makeup. When she was told that she needed to wait, she left. After looking for Emily for a few hours, they reported her missing to local police. They found her at an indoor trampoline park. When an officer approached her and said that she needed to leave, he said that she was quiet but defiant. He spoke with her for a few minutes, but she still wouldn't budge. Finally, Carolyn pulled Emily up from the chair she was sitting in, and they began to walk outside. At this point, the officers escorting Emily out by her arm. While they were talking, Emily insisted on being taken back to her mother's house or the group home in Mesa. Then things escalated. Carolyn told the Arizona Republic, quote, "We tried talking to her and reminding her, Emily, we're here for you. We want to do what's best for you." The cop was holding her by the arm, just trying to escort her out, and then she turns around and reaches for his gun. End quote. Carolyn said that Emily was soft-spoken but clear. She wanted to die by suicide, and said that she'd see her relatives in hell. Emily was then placed in handcuffs and transported by ambulance to a local hospital. Carolyn says that she tried to call tribal social services, but they didn't immediately return her phone calls. It was Liz Morales, the owner of the group home, who ultimately responded, flew to Colorado, and escorted Emily back to the Mesa group home. Carolyn said this is the last time she saw her niece. She says Emily wasn't the same girl she used to be, and no longer recognized her. Clearly, at this point, Emily had gone through a lot, and she was a danger to herself and possibly others. After this, Emily was admitted into a behavioral treatment center for a year. She was then sent back to the same group home in Mesa. Liz Morales says that after Emily was discharged from the hospital, she seemed better. She was smiling and back to her more bubbly self. She was also more focused and often spoke of going to college to pursue a degree in art. But Emily still wanted to go home.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto-ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details. On January 27, 2025, while most of the staff and other kids were engaged with a volunteer church group visiting the home, Emily leapt out of her bedroom window and ran again. She did not have a cell phone. While initial reports about Emily's murder speculated that she may have left the group home to see a boy, Liz Morales says that Emily was determined to go home and take care of her mom. She believes that was her intended destination when she ran, to go to Peridot on the reservation. She told the Arizona Republic, quote, "She just missed her family. It was that simple. Did I think she was running away because she was afraid? No. Was she gone and planning on going for good? No." End quote. Emily was last seen at about 7:45 p.m. in the home near Mesa Drive and McKellips Road in Mesa. Her house manager reported her missing to police that night as a runaway. It's believed she left on foot and it was dark outside. The response from the Mesa PD was lackluster. Emily had a history of running, so they assumed that like every other time she ran, she'd be back, and not much was done to look for her. Flyers were made and put up in the Mesa area, but really, that seems like all that was done. The Mesa PD has since come out and say that running away isn't a crime, and they aren't required to assign a detective to a missing person case if a child is suspected of running away. Mesa Detective Richard Giles added that the group homes tend to generate a higher number of missing persons reports, but those kids are almost always found. In a co-branded flyer from the Mesa PD and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, it explained that Emily was a missing runaway juvenile, 14 years old, Native American with brown hair and brown eyes, 4'10", weighed 115 pounds, and was last seen wearing a pink and gray shirt in the area of Mesa Drive and McKellips Road. Emily's mother was notified of her disappearance a week after she was reported missing. And really, her case didn't garner much attention until the end of February, when that internal memo I told you about at the top of the episode was posted to the Gila County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. On February 26, they released a statement acknowledging the leak. They also explained that they felt that there was no threat to the public, and they were still working to identify the woman who'd been killed. The next day, they released another statement to confirm that they'd identified the woman and have notified next of kin. It wasn't long before it came to light that that woman was actually 14-year-old Emily Pike. Her manner of death has been deemed a homicide, but her cause of death is still unknown. We don't know when she was killed or how long she was out there. It's also unknown what type, if any, forensic evidence they may have that could possibly link to the perpetrator or perpetrators. And the Gila County Sheriff's Office say that they don't have a primary suspect or investigative lead. They added that their focus is on locating the person who disposed of Emily's remains in such a crude manner. But now we know that her remains were found just 25 miles northwest of her family's home. However, it's still unclear if Emily actually ever made it home. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together, and Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse, so I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the Keys. Any leads on who they might have been running for?
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. only on Peacock.
The question remains, what happened to Emily Pike? There's been a lot of speculation in her case, and honestly, a lot of finger-pointing between agencies. Tribal leaders pointed to the group home, saying they failed to keep Emily safe. And the group home has received a lot of scrutiny. When I first covered Emily's case, one of the most discussed aspects of it was the fact that there were 30 reports of children going missing from that specific group home. Many people assume that there were 30 children still missing. Personally, my social media feed was flooded with accusations against this group home, saying that they were running some type of trafficking ring. But that really doesn't appear to be the case. We now know that 30 reports were made in relation to 18 children from the group home going missing since 2022. While confidentiality laws prevent Liz Morales from describing every child who ran, she has confirmed that they are all accounted for. But she does admit that one case isn't technically closed. That case involves a girl who ran multiple times, and ran again around the same time Emily went missing. Morales says that she's spoken to the girl's mother, and her location is known to both her family, and police. She added that this particular girl is close to turning 18 and doesn't want to go back to the group home, so she's basically waiting it out. This is not an uncommon occurrence with children in the foster care system. She also addressed rumors that spanned from restraining children to Emily possibly being some type of cult blood sacrifice. She told the Arizona Republic, quote, "We're not a cult. We're not sucking the blood from children. We're not abusing our children. I've heard it all. And so have my children. It's scary. The kids already have anxiety. They have trauma. This is something out of left field." End quote. She also says that another group home was mistaken for Emily's and became the target of protesters after hearing these rumors on social media. Now, Liz Morales runs multiple group homes in Arizona, and the name of her company has been publicly released, but most news organizations have not published that information in an effort to keep the children in those homes safe, so I'm going to follow suit. Liz Morales and her group home agency are being investigated in relation to Emily's case. The other children living with Emily have been interviewed, as has the staff, and Emily's father has threatened a lawsuit against them. While the investigation is still ongoing, the Department of Child Safety, who oversees group homes in Arizona, released a statement saying, quote, "At this time, the department does not believe any actions taken or not taken by the group home caused the terrible outcome in this case. We have opened a licensing inquiry to determine whether appropriate steps were taken by the group home during this incident." End quote. Of course, anything is possible. There may be something found linking the group home to Emily's death, but we don't have anything to conclude that yet. What we can conclude, what we do know, is that there are real-life repercussions of perpetrating these rumors. There are children, some as young as 7 years old, who've already experienced trauma, feeling even more unsafe. And I don't want to contribute to that. I also think it's safe to say that if Liz Morales is running some type of trafficking ring or cult out of these homes, she might be one of the best criminals in history. That would require getting potentially dozens of children, volunteers, caseworkers, and police officers to stay quiet about it. Liz Morales says that she's run group homes for 24 years, and Emily is the first child to be killed in her care. San Carlos Apache tribal leaders have also asked for a state review of licensing requirements for all residential care facilities, and for a separate investigation into how Emily was able to leave. All eyes are on this group home and agency as a whole, and it's been upsetting to Emily's family, as they believe her case has really become a game of finger-pointing instead of action for reform. After one of Emily's memorial services in March, her uncle Allred Pike said, quote, "If you look at what the tribe is saying, they're pointing to the group home, but they are not pointing internally to see where they failed, and that's where the frustration comes in." End quote. Emily's murder has divided her family. They ended up having separate memorial services for her and continue to argue about what was or wasn't done for her, and what should be done now. Emily's mother has spoken out about the threats of a lawsuit made by Emily's father, saying that she's not interested in financially benefiting from her daughter's death. At the end of April 2025, she said that she'd been sober for about 6 weeks, and her focus was keeping Emily's siblings safe. While Emily's murder has greatly divided some of her loved ones, it has brought many of them and the community together. When I first told you about Emily's case, there were nearly daily demonstrations for her. And while that has slowed a little as the weather is warming up in Arizona, the outrage and demand for reform is still very present. In addition to the demonstrations, the murals, and general conversation about the missing and murdered Indigenous person crisis in Arizona and throughout the world, Emily's case has sparked real reform. Just hours before this episode was set to air, Arizona lawmakers unanimously passed House Bill 2281, also known as Emily's Law. As we know, when Emily went missing, she unfortunately didn't meet the criteria for a normal Amber Alert, which may have saved her life. Now, with Emily's Law, the Department of Safety has established a turquoise alert system for members of federally recognized tribes. As we know, Indigenous women are up to 10 times more likely to be murdered or sexually assaulted than other women in North America, and murder is the third leading cause of death for Native women. So Emily's Law, or the turquoise alert, is just one way this community and lawmakers are trying to curb these numbers. Emily's uncle Allred told ABC 15 News that he feels this will make a big difference. The reward for information leading to an arrest in Emily's case has also been doubled to $150,000, thanks to additional funding from the FBI. And all of this comes on the heels of Emily's Aunt Carolyn and Uncle Allred going to Washington, D.C. on May 5th, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Awareness Day. They went to advocate for Emily's case and all cases of MMIP. Carolyn told Ashley Holden with ABC 15 News, quote, "That's all we care about. That's why we are here. It's all about bringing light to her situation, to get justice for her and all the missing and murdered Indigenous people." End quote. While they were originally invited to speak with the president, due to scheduling conflicts, he was no longer able to accommodate their visit. But this didn't stop them. They instead took Emily's posters to the White House and showed them before walking to the Department of the Interior and meeting with the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, and the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum. Emily's aunt and uncle say that they left D.C. feeling hopeful that they would take further action in Emily's case and to help all cases of MMIP. Carolyn added in her statement to Ashley Holden, quote, "It's not right, the way she was taken from us. But her name, her story, herself, it's like she matters. And everyone else that is missing, or just a loved one, they matter as well. And it's like we're her voice, and we're not going to be silent. We're just going to get loud, and we're going to get loud for her and for everyone out there." End quote. Which brings me right to our call to action. Please keep sharing Emily's case. It really is hard to imagine where it would be today if that internal memo wasn't leaked. If it didn't spark the outrage and reform we've seen in her case. This really is the perfect example of what media pressure can do. Emily's case, all of these people, all of you rallying behind her, has put every agency involved on high alert that the murder of Indigenous people, that Emily's murder is not going to be forgotten, and that people are not going to stop demanding reform until real change has been made. So please keep sharing her case and all cases of MMIP. As a reminder, Emily Pike was 14 years old when she was murdered. Her remains were later found off Highway 60 North, Milepost 277, on Forest Road 355, just east of Globe, Arizona. She was a Native American female with brown hair and brown eyes, who was 4'10" and weighed 115 pounds. She was last seen wearing a pink and gray shirt. Anyone with information is urged to call the Gila County Sheriff's Office detective at 928-200-2352. The Bureau of Indian Affairs Special Agent at 505-917-7830, or the San Carlos Apache Tribal Police Detective at 928-475-1755. You can also submit a tip anonymously online at Tips.FBI.GOV. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice. Welcome to the Secret After Show. The door is open, and our emotional support puppies, Popcorn and Heber, are in the room. Let's dive right into the case. I feel like we know so much more about Emily's case now than we did just a few months ago. And literally the details are still coming out. I was making updates to this script just hours before I recorded it for you guys. It's insane, but it's a good thing. Of course, I'll keep following her case closely and continue to bring you updates. It really is such a hard case, and I know I say that every week, you guys. It's a hard case to cover, I think, because of my experience with kids in foster care, because of Emily's age. I mean, it's horrific. It's so sad to hear about. But I think that there's this glimmer of hope in it all, that reform is being made, at least here in Arizona. Hopefully it'll, go further across the country soon. But it's amazing to see what Emily's case has done and the awareness that it's sparked. Like, real change is being made. There's public pressure, there's rallies, and it's working. I don't know. It feels like it's working. And again, I would just really appreciate if you continued to share her case. I will say that there were not a lot of media discrepancies. There has been some amazing reporting here locally, one by the Arizona Republic, which I really want to shout out. They did a deep investigation and uncovered a lot. Also, ABC 15 News. There's been a few different reporters, but Ashley Holden has really been on top of it. It feels like I'm seeing a new video on her TikTok almost every day talking about Emily. She's really out there trying to raise awareness, so I just wanted to give them some shout outs. And like I said, the media discrepancies really are few in this case, which is really cool to see. Just great in-depth reporting and a lot of follow-up. And I do have many heroes for this episode. I really wrote the community because of the way that people have rallied. I don't know, maybe you guys aren't seeing it nationally. I don't see her in the national news a lot. She has gotten some coverage, but it's everywhere here in Arizona. So my hero of this episode is the community that's rallied around her. From the artist who drew her mural on a water tank not far from her home, Emily's aunt and uncle who have been public-facing despite the extreme scrutiny that, against her family, and all these community members who are organizing rallies and continuing to raise awareness about her case. It's really been this huge, amazing combined effort by a lot of people. It's kind of amazing. I love that I am not in this after show right now talking about a million media discrepancies in this case being hard to follow, because it's not. This case, I really think and hope, is going to continue to spark a lot of reform. And again, I just can't credit the journalists following it enough for making it so easy to follow and continuing to really just post about it and keep it at the front of everybody's minds, especially the agencies who still have to answer for justice for Emily. That being said, let's move on to our segment of hope. This was sent to me by so many people, so shout out to everyone who sent me this. And there's a lot of articles you can read out there. I just pulled the first one. This is from NBC News, let me see, by Viola Flowers. And the title reads, "Wisconsin woman found alive after missing for 62 years, has no regrets about disappearing." The little byline under, it's not a byline. Is it a byline? Gosh, I need to go back to school. Underneath it says Audrey Backeberg, I may be saying that wrong, I'm sorry, disappeared from Reedsburg in 1962 when she was 20 years old. Decades later, she has been found alive. So she was actually last seen, it looks like, walking from a bus stop and going around the corner. Essentially, it looks like the family's babysitter said that she and Backenberg hitchhiked to Madison on July 7th before they took a Greyhound bus to Indianapolis. Investigators apparently pursued a lot of different leads over a lot of years, but the case eventually went cold. That is until recently, just a few days ago, as of recording this episode, when the Sauk County Sheriff's Office announced that she had been located alive and well. She left on her own volition with no criminal activity or foul play involved. It looks like, according to this news report, the secret to cracking the case was her sister's ancestry family history profile. They were digging into death records, census reports, and all sorts of things when they came up with an address. This family member then phoned the local sheriff's office and asked someone to stop by the address that he found. 10 minutes later, he got a call back saying that she'd been found and she was fine. Now, she did leave behind, they're speculating, a possibly abusive husband, but it doesn't look like that's been confirmed. She also left behind 2 children with her former husband. They are keeping a lot of things private, which I think is totally fair, especially because there was no foul play. But basically, this woman was happy. She was confident in her decision and said that she had no regrets about leaving. Now, it's kind of an odd segment of hope, right? Because this woman did just up and leave. For what reason, we don't know. I don't know that we need to know. But I think it's an interesting story. And the reason it makes our segment of hope is because I think it displays one of the many ways that people can be found. I think there's also, it just sparks hope that people can be found alive. So that's why it makes our segment of hope. I know that a lot of people are upset about the way that she left and the resources that were wasted in looking for her. But again, we don't know this entire situation. I'm not going to speculate on it further. I just wanted to raise awareness and again, spark that hope that people are found alive, even decades later. So that's why it makes our segment of hope. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.
Close your eyes. Focus. Listen to work getting done with Monday.com. Relax as AI does the manual work, while your teams are aligned on a single source of truth. Feel the sensation of an AI work platform, so flexible and intuitive, it feels like it was built just for you. Notice you're limitless. Now open your eyes, go to Monday.com, start for free, and finally, breathe.